don't want the Michigan hand after your August primary. I want the Michigan fist. I want you all to unite. I want you to punch a hole in the wall of resistance. I want you to grab a sledgehammer and knock some stuff down. I want you to reach up and grab somebody and get them off the couch and get them on the field. We got points to put on the board. I want that Michigan fist. I want some unity. Unity is power. Our unity.
God, Cory Booker, man, is such a disappointment. You know, like he's got his moments, but like he's such a sellout. He's such a sellout, man.
I don't want the Michigan hand after your August primary. I want the Michigan fist.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. But we are going to talk about Michigan now. So we're going to talk about the Michigan Senate race, though. We're not going to be talking about Cory Booker. And I do want to say, Abdul El-Sayed absolutely killing it in Michigan.
I think I speak for all of us when I say that the experience in Michigan has been abnormally shitty over the last couple of months. We've had an outbreak of cyclosporiasis causing explosive diarrhea. And the air quality, well, it's also shitty. We've got an opportunity to think different. If I was elected, I'd be the first ever public health official elected to the US Senate. And I think we probably could use one of those right about now. Why? Because the FDA and the CDC should be there to make sure that lettuce doesn't cause you to sit on a toilet for most of your day. And because I don't take money from ExxonMobil and Chevron, the very same folks who've caused this situation where our air quality is now trash. So, y'all, I'm running for US Senate because it just shouldn't be this shitty.
Like, God, talk about on-point messaging. Yeah, no, it shouldn't be this shitty. Life shouldn't be this hard. You know what? Government isn't supposed to just be an absence of suffering. It's supposed to be a tool that makes your life better. You know, like, I think a lot of people forget this, that like your elected representatives are elected to make your life better. And it doesn't have to be just, oh, we elect people so that they can more subtly rob us. They can be, we elect people to make our lives better. Now, I do want to say, before we get too deep into this segment, that Abdul El-Sayed is also just an obnoxiously good guy. Like, he's just a good dude. He put this out over on Threads a few days ago. It's become impossible to ignore the way that people online make fun of my opponent for things that have nothing to do with her policies or politics. It's unkind and unhelpful. If you support me, please stop. Focus on the issues. Congresswoman Stevens has welcomed corporations and special interests to support her. She votes to send our money abroad while Michiganders struggle. She's bought by DTE, Blue Cross, Big Tech, and Big Pharma who pick our pockets. AIPAC, Trump-aligned billionaires and corporate PACs are spending $50 million plus to support her. Those are the issues. We don't need to be unkind, to be honest. Now, I do agree. We don't need to be unkind, to be honest. That being said, I'm going to do my best to not make fun of Haley Stevens in this segment. It's going to be very difficult. I will do it. I'll see how this segment goes. It's going to be very difficult, you know, for reasons.
And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way.
That was a clip of Haley Stevens showing an admirable amount of enthusiasm for the civic process.
Admit it, Jack. Haley Stevens is really growing on you.
That was some weird shit.
Paladin, thank you for the $5 dono. Her can-do attitude is really infectious. You're stronger than me. I am merely trying to abide by the terms put forward by Abdul El-Sayed. But you know what? It's a lot easier when there aren't clips to react to of her. You know, let's focus on her policy stances, you know? Like, oh look, here's an article about her visiting an ICE facility. Michigan congresswomen get no answers on Baldwin ICE facility death during visit and tour. This is from February of earlier this year. Okay, you know, she's holding ICE accountable. That's great to see. Okay, let's see here.
I'm not being mean. I'm just being a New Yorker towards Haley Stevens more than I normally would to the average person laughing face.
Indeed, Cardstockcaster. Thank you for the $5 dono. What we were informed of is that there is still an ongoing review of his death, and yet a man is dead, and he died here in this ICE center, this ICE processing center, this detention center, Stevens told reporters following the facility visit to the privately owned detention center, which is currently working under a contract with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. What we were informed of is that there is still an ongoing review of his death, and yet a man is dead, and he died here in this ICE center, this ICE processing center, this detention center. Haley Stevens is very good at observing things. It's why she made the same observation multiple times in the span of one sentence. This is one of the hardest segments I've ever done. They have said that they need to get the full picture from his death report, and so what that was described to me as is an autopsy and a further analysis of what contributed to his death, Stevens added. I hope we get a full picture.
Okay guys, I can't keep up this fucking kayfabe. She said Israel comes to her in her dreams. She makes it so easy, guys.
The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
I hope we can get a full picture of the care and treatment that he was receiving here, and what biological causes or other factors contributed to his death.
That's my purse. I don't know you.
Thank you for your generosity, chatters. Her habit of repeating the same observation 3 or 4 times in one sentence must be really useful for people who don't understand it the first couple of times. Stevens also seemed generally impressed with the staff during the visit and their treatment of detainees. I want to stress that this is a facility where a man was killed in their custody. Quote, of note, there is female leadership here, and there are women who walked with us today and explained on the intake process how important it is to treat people with humanity, Stevens said. And that obviously really stuck out to me, because some of the things we are witnessing before our eyes in our neighborhoods and our streets is really a lack of humanity. This isn't a personal attack against Haley Stevens here that I'm about to do and engage in, but when you are impressed that a private prison that is incarcerating people indefinitely for the equivalent of a parking ticket infraction, you're impressed with how it's led by women? More women-led concentration camps. It's so clean. I'm really struggling here. But I am going to continue to try and abide in kindness. Anyway.
Here's a woman-lead idea, hear me out. If we play the Tudor song again, then we also have plausible deniability about what we're laughing at.
That's not a bad idea, but I can't subject people to that in a segment. That'd be unfair. Now, bad news on this front. New polling from last week indicates that Stevens is up by about 7% on Abdul El Sayed. After, McMorrow left the race, a Detroit News poll indicates that Stevens is miraculously still in the lead over Abdul El Sayed. So that means Michigan needs you. Michigan needs your fist. Michigan needs you to knock on doors, to phone bank, to get involved for Abdul El Sayed. All right? How is she in the lead? It's racism? Probably. a not insubstantial factor. However, we need to go and win. And if you don't know where to start or go for a line into phone banking or door knocking for Abdul El Sayed, I believe there is an ongoing effort right now by Progressive Victory. There's a link down below in the description for them, where you can go get involved to do phone banking and door knocking, text banking, etc. for Abdul El Sayed. I encourage you all to take advantage of that, because you can do phone banking or text banking from anywhere in the country. You can get involved doing that shit. All right? We need more people to get involved in that way. So if you have spare time, you can do some good work with Progressive Victory and do the work that needs to get done to get Abdul El Sayed elected to Senate. All right?
Michigan, August 4th. Vote.
Yes.
AbdulForSenate.com.
Yes. Because we're talking about this because it's roughly 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks, a week and a half away. All right? So it is vitally important that if you have time in the next couple weeks, that you volunteer, because this is going to come down to the wire. It is truly going to be a very close race. So we need as many people as we can to hit the ground, door knock, phone bank, etc. It makes a difference. Genuine question, does phone banking work? Yes, because functionally what it is reminding people when the election is, why it's important, and spurring turnout, right? Because not everyone has the election day on their calendar. Not everyone knows that they can vote in the primary. Not everyone knows that shit. And so what it actually really, really does matter, because most people in America are low information voters. If you are here, you are definitionally not a low information voter because you care enough about politics to come and watch a show about politics. Most people in America don't do that. They are completely or almost completely checked out, outside of what they might catch on like the local news or see in a local newspaper even. Maybe, if they're lucky. Yeah, your goal when you're phone banking and door knocking is never, hey, I'm going to debate you into going out and voting for my candidate. Your goal is to simply inform people to make it more likely that they turn out. Because if you are reminding someone in a home of when an election is, that makes them more likely to turn out for the election. And it also makes their entire household more likely to turn out for the election. So it's not just the person you're talking to, it's also the people in that person's social network. And when you are doing phone banking or door knocking in particular, it shows people that it's important enough that folks are actually like out there spending their time to knock on doors, which people inherently understand is not a very fun thing to do and wouldn't be done unless it was actually important, right? So basically, your job is to remind folks and impress upon them that it's important for them to vote. And to, like, if they have questions about your candidate, to, like, give them more information about your candidate and why they're great. But it's never to debate somebody into voting for your candidate. Now, I do want to say, as we continue through all of this, I think that this is very funny. And I'm going to continue to not be mean about Haley Stevens to the best of my abilities. All right? No matter how hard it gets. I'm nervous, Jack. Phone banking is so scary. That's why you should do it with Progressive Victory. You can do it with chill folks who are, like, also learning. Guys, when Fortune.com writes an article titled, "Ask Her About Why AIPAC Spent $30 million on Her Michigan Senate Campaign, and She'll Talk for 800 Words About Anything Else." Do you know how bad at this you have to be? How bad at messaging you have to be for Fortune, a publication dedicated to covering the rich and money, write an article about how dishonest you are and aren't forthcoming about getting money?
Have you sent a trans person $5 today? Pensive face emoji. Folded hands emoji.
House of Souls, thank you for the $5 super chat. But let's you know, like it is very interesting to say the least. The Congresswoman has far less to say about the pro-Israel group that spent millions trying to get her
Also,
elected.
if you're door knocking and a guy starts debating/ranting at you to waste your time, just say thank you for your time, I'll mark you and we won't come by again, then leave.
True, Brutus Magnuson. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Don't get bogged down with interactions that are going to, like, waste your time. Because time is valuable when you're knocking doors. Right? So I just thought it was very fascinating that Haley Stevens couldn't even get Fortune on her side. But I also think that this is kind of funny, right? Here is Fox News being big mad over Abdul El-Sayed. Socialist-backed Michigan Senate hopeful calls American politics a disease after professing love for United States. Abdul El-Sayed accused corporations, billionaires, and special interests of rigging American politics. And it's just like, what's crazy to me is that when Fox News covers him, you guys know that Fox News viewers and readers are going to just read that and be like, wait a minute, he's right. He's right, though! Because, like, average working Republicans don't like corporations and billionaires or special interests either. They don't like those things. People in America, by and large, fucking despise politics. It's why so many people are tuned out. What they're trying to do here is not sell Abdul El-Sayed. What they're trying to do is fearmonger about him, right? It's racism. He's socialist. And he's disloyal to America. He professes love for the United States, but then calls American politics a disease. And his name's Abdul. It's racism. They're trying to do like classic Bush era racism, right?
But I'll tell you this, if I'm ICE, you damn well better believe I'm dangerous. If you're AIPAC, I'm dangerous. If you're Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'm dangerous. If you're DTE or consumers, you damn well better know I'm gonna be dangerous. If you're Chuck Schumer, trading politicians like trading cards, I'm dangerous. If you think you can control the people, I am dangerous.
Also, what's very dangerous is that he's yoked as hell and very conventionally attractive, and he's saying things that most MAGA folks would be like, wait a minute, I don't like.
McDonald's is rolling out a new Caesar.
Shut up, McDonald's. I don't like Blue Cross Blue Shield either. They let my Mima die. You know, like dudes out here like winning over conservatives, right? And I think that that's great. Now, we have one final hurdle. All right? One final hurdle in my commitment to not being mean to Haley Stevens for this segment. And that is that we do have one more video clip that we're going to go through. It is the Michigan Matters appearance that has Haley Stevens and Abdul El-Sayed on the issues. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best. God damn, is this hard? Anyway, let's dive in.
Hi, and welcome to Michigan Matters. You don't need me to tell you we have a red-hot U.S. Senate race going on in our state. Today, we're going one-on-one with the two Democrats still in the race, Representative Haley Stevens and Abdul El-Sayed, who are facing each other in Michigan's August 4th primary. Plus, the roundtable's waiting in the wings to talk about that race, the gubernatorial contest, and other things. If politics is your cup of tea, you've come to the right place. Let's get started.
If politics is your cup of tea, we've got a bunch of it. She pulls out just a gigantic jug of iced tea. God, it'd be so easy to make these, like... It would be so easy to make like shows like this comedic bits.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by Cure Auto Insurance.
Between the fascists and you, I would rather the fascists. That's because you're a fascist, my friend. Go fuck yourself.
And we're joined by Abdul El-Sayed, who is a Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, who hopes to win your vote in Michigan's August 4th primary. It's great to see you.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
It's been very busy since the last time I saw you up at Mackinac Island at the Chamber's Policy Conference.
Slightly different view, but yeah.
Well, this is an incredibly busy week for you. And let's talk about a couple things that happened this week. First of all, Mallory McMorial announced that she was suspending her race and pulling out.
Did she call her Mallory McMorial? Like, more like Mallory McMorial, you know, because her campaign is dead.
Were you surprised by her decision?
I mean, we were. She was running an extremely strong race. She looked like the candidate to beat just months before. I'll be honest.
It's me, Mallory McMorial. Mallory McMorial. Not to be confused with my evil twin, Mallory McWario.
With you, I don't spend as much time.
I don't know why that that killed me a lot.
Thinking about the horse race of it all, though, you know, there are a lot that she and I agreed on. Some things that we disagreed on, but she made her case and fought a great campaign. I reached out to her. You know, I've been in the position where I've lost a primary before.
Also, he's just a swell guy. Like, he's just a good dude.
I know how that feels. And so a lot of what we're doing right now is reaching out to the people who she inspired to show them that so much of what she and I...
A fascist is designed as a fascist is defined as keeping America how it was founded? That's not what Donald Trump is doing. Like, come the fuck on. Also, the founding fathers wrote the foundational premises of our institutions to grow and evolve. They literally made it to grow and evolve. Deliberately. Because there would be new and interesting challenges to overcome in the future.
Agreed on is so much bigger than any of the things we disagreed on, and inviting them to join us.
And now that it's a two-horse race with you and Haley Stevens, and Mallory's no longer part of the equation, are you adjusting your campaign in any way, and your strategy in these last few weeks of the primary?
So I'll tell you this campaign has been more than a year in the making. We've been to 110 different cities, 450 public events. And across them, I have a simple message. I want money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. But the contrast couldn't be clearer. I'm somebody who's never taken a dime of corporate money to run a campaign. My opponent in this race is dripping with corporate money. All of the ads that you've seen in this race have been brought to you by a super PAC or another, mainly paid for by AIPAC. One of them literally...
By the way, it's the same here in Minnesota with, Angie Craig versus Peggy Flanagan. Angie Craig is entirely propped up by big money spent on political ads. Most of it from out of state, some of it from big within state donors, but like none of Angie Craig's support is organic whatsoever.
The goal is to send your tax dollars abroad to kill other people rather than to invest them here at home, to invest in us and our kids.
Let's talk, Doug. Let's move on here. You have a distinguished career in public service, but have yet to be victorious when your name's on a ballot. What's going to make it?
Did you know the ones allowed to vote in original America were landowners? It's true. And also, we have a constitution referred to repeatedly as a living document to be added to and grow over time. And we, amended it a few times to rectify that mistake.
Different this time from your perspective?
Well, I've learned a lot, right? 8 years changes somebody. I've grown up, had kids. I've got 2 kids and a mortgage now. My kids are 8 and 3, and they teach you a lot about patience. I've also realized that Michiganders are less interested in the critique.
God, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to run for office with a kid who's 8 and a kid who's 3 at the same time. Like, that's... like... juggling a family and a run for office is difficult, I imagine.
They're a lot more interested in the solution. So if you're somebody who wants your politics to work for you, if you're somebody who believes in unions, like the unions believe in me, the UAW, AFT...
Doc, I haven't passed any laws. I don't know what mistake you're referring to.
National Nurses United. If you're somebody who believes that we need to take on the oligarchs and the monopolies that force us to pay more for the stuff we got to buy, if you're somebody who believes that our money should be spent here on us and you believe that you deserve guaranteed health care, then this campaign is for you. But I'll also tell you that the mood has changed, right? 8 years on, people are just angrier. Things have gotten harder. It's harder to afford your groceries, harder to afford your rent, harder to afford to believe that you could ever afford a home, harder to believe in the school that you send your kid to. And I think in this moment, people are looking for something that does not look like...
Doc, there's nothing to agree or disagree on. You're just like kind of being a weird little guy. And that's your prerogative. You have the right to be a weird little guy if you want to be. But like, you aren't making any coherent points.
Business as usual.
Let's talk about a couple different issues. Data centers, very divisive. Some people say it's a great job creator, and Michigan ought to be embracing more of them. Others say it's going to hurt the environment, cause people to spend more and get money for energy and water and the such. Where do you stand, and where do you stand on regulating them?
There's a real worry about data centers. And
I do love that he's basically coming in and being like, people are right to be mad, people are right to be worried, and also... people are right to be scared for their communities because there are these massive corporations trying to encroach upon them and abuse them. And like, I like that he's a straight shooter, but he's also then like, we should have good things happen and not bad things, actually. I do appreciate a politician who's willing to go to bat for a set of principles that encourage good things to happen and not bad things.
You think about the AI that they're bringing in. I've been very clear about both regulating data centers and regulating AI. When it comes to data centers, we propose what we call a terms of engagement. If they're going to come here, they've got to follow the following terms. Number one, do not increase our electrical rates. Number two, you need to improve our reliability. As we talk about folks literally living under 5 days of darkness now because DTE can't figure out how to keep the lights on. No touching our water. If you promise jobs, they better be good union jobs, and there needs to be a very
So
clear...
you're in favor of regulating them?
I'm in favor of regulating. But it's also AI, right? We've got to be serious about...
Yeah, that's a huge issue here, and I know we've got much more to say. I know viewers watching this are going to want to hear about more. Let's talk about one of the cornerstones of your campaign, Medicare for All. How are you going to do that? And what one thing can you quickly say where it's not going to drive up costs? How will that be funded?
Well, we're going to pay for it, but we're going to pay a lot less because we're not paying a CEO $18 million a year. We're not paying for that army of billers to figure out how to allow doctors and health insurance to crosstalk. And guess what? We're not going to pay for it in the form of $225 billion in medical debt, which is what we hold in this country right now. This will be cheaper, more durable, and without the pain or the worry about I can't see a doctor, which is too much of an issue for too many people in this country.
You represent the more progressive wing of the party, been endorsed by AOC and Bernie Sanders, UAW. Some people think after whoever wins in the primary, the Democrat left standing, taking on Mike Rogers at a progressive, is going to be a harder fight.
Yuck, tranny animal. I mean, like, the thing is, you guys come in and you try and drop these slurs, but you don't even have you don't even say it with your chest. You're, like, censoring yourself. I get so much hate every time I do this show, but, like, I don't know, I just kind of feel sorry for you guys. You guys waste your time doing this, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go online and say slurs. It's just like, well, but you're not even saying the slur right. Y'all are just like, I don't know, do a better job at being a bigot, I guess. Like, I shouldn't have to fix it for you. That just means I'm taking your gerb.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the real fight is not between progressive or conservative or moderate. I think it's people who are locked out of our politics and the people doing the locking.
It's true. Weak beta male bullshit from the bigots.
Out. Michigan is a place where we went for Bernie Sanders, then Donald Trump, then Joe Biden, then Donald Trump again. And we know Michiganders, they're steady Eddie. It's just
they're just rage baiting. Yeah, but they can't make me mad.
That they keep going to the buffet and not finding what they want. So if they know that their opportunity to support somebody who's not bought
you gotta put your best bigot foot forward.
Off by a corporation who is actually trying to fight for them, I think they're going to choose that opportunity every day.
We're winding down here just real quickly. I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
Also, I know I'm taking a quick aside here from what we're actually here to talk about, but a lot of these folks come in here to try and make me feel bad, but you have no power over me, and it doesn't really work. However, I am interested in your arguments against like your argument about like why you think trans people shouldn't exist, or like your argument against like trans people, or like your argument for trans people being mentally ill or whatever, blah 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 blah. I'm interested in that. Like, I have a call-in debate show specifically for you guys, and yet every single time we do that call-in show, it's every Thursday, by the way, over on the line, every single time not a single one of you fuckers calls in. It just kind of goes to show that, like, not only are you incapable of making me feel bad, you're also just woefully mentally inferior to me. And I'm sure that that makes you guys mad, but I also don't give a fuck if it makes you guys mad. Anyway, call in. The Line hosts the Transatlantic Call-In Show every Thursday, and I'm usually on maybe about half the time. So do go and call in and make your best arguments, because other people can learn by your attempt to be clever, because you'll be mercilessly destroyed in a marketplace of ideas. So, yeah, there you have it, folks. If you are a transphobe and have strong opinions that you would like to test out in a more confrontational style, you can say your slurs to my face. But y'all don't do that, because you're cowards. And you don't have arguments for your positions. Trans people just make you feel kind of icky, or maybe afraid that you might be attracted to a trans person. Like, I don't really know what it is. I'm not paid enough to be your therapists. But you guys should go to therapy. It would probably help you. Anyway, I'm going to keep on going.
Here to just tell people why they should vote for you. I'm going to give your opponent, we talked in the next segment, Haley Stevens, the same opportunity. You got 20 seconds here.
I'm the only candidate in this race who's never taken a dime of corporate money to run a campaign. I'm the only candidate who's standing up to guarantee you health care through Medicare for all, who understands that we have to abolish ICE, who's done work in the bowels of government in Detroit and Wayne County. If you want somebody who is a public servant fighting for you and not the corporations who are buying the campaign, not for AIPAC, who's buying their campaign, I hope that I can earn your support to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, and pass Medicare for all.
Abdul El Sayed, thank you so much for joining us. This certainly is a race we're going to be watching all the way through here to the end here.
Appreciate you, Carol. Thank you.
Okay, and keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters after this.
You know what? I don't know much about this lady.
Okay, and keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters after this.
But I like her. She's got gumption.
And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're now joined by Congresswoman.
This is gonna be hard.
Amazon sucks. Brought a reflective jacket and it was delivered at 7 p.m. not 4 a.m.
Oh no. Hopefully that made it easier to find. It was reflecting the setting sun's rays. I don't know. I'm trying to be helpful. This is gonna be really hard. Attack on Pony Productions, thank you for the $5 super chat.
Haley Stevens, who's hoping to secure your vote in the U.S. Senate Democratic primary taking place in just a few weeks. And my, oh my, what a campaign this has been. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Well, the big news coming out was a state representative.
Wait, he's a liar and radical left budding terrorist? Bitch, he's a doctor. What are you talking about? He like got a doctor degree so that he could help people. Like, people like you, I want to emphasize. It's fucking weird. What, he wants to save lives? Disgusting. Radical left terrorist. Like, alright, I mean, I guess everyone's a radical left terrorist for wanting people to live and not to die.
Mallory McMurrow decided that she was dropping out, leaving the field of 3 down to 2. My question, were you surprised by her decision?
Look, I think Mallory McMorrow ran a very dedicated, engaged, and spirited race, and I respect her decision. And her supporters are welcome into my campaign. I really believe that together we can beat Mike Rogers, tell a story for Michigan, and push back.
But this is the thing. Together we can tell a story for Michigan. And it's just like, what People don't want you to tell a fucking story from Michigan. They want you to make their
No,
lives better.
It was supposed to be here at 4 in the morning if I bought it in an hour. Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Attack on Pony Productions. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Cardstockcaster, thank you for the $5 dono.
What is he lying about? As not having enough insurance to cover the doctor visits for our explosive shit bacteria in our lettuce? Asterisk 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 off LMAO.
Hey, Cardstockcaster bringing some fire.
Back on some of these abuses of power that we see coming out of Washington right now.
How does her exiting the race impact you and how you'll approach the campaign in the last few weeks of this primary?
Well, look, I'm continuing to get out there to share my message and my story for Michigan. I was born here. My parents are small.
I'm a 35-year-old cis white man, so I can't talk shit on Haley Stevens, but can my fellow comrades agree that she's using her white woman privilege to fuck over Dr. Abdul? I mean, absolutely. Like, I gotta be completely honest with you guys. I'm not entirely sure what value proposition Haley Stevens is bringing to Michigan or Michiganders, because, like, I don't see her talking about, like, revolutionary policies that are going to make Michiganders' lives better. Like, honestly, I hear about the tens of millions of dollars that she's getting from special interest groups in order to get her elected. Which, to me, if I'm hearing more about the special interest groups trying to get her elected than her actual policies, it kind of tells me that she's working for the special interest groups and not the people of Michigan. And that, I think, is really bad, actually. And when we are trying to, like, talk about this particular race, it really does seem like Dr. Abdul El-Sayed comes with a bunch of specific critiques and specific policies that are going to help Michiganders in very specific ways. And Haley Stevens, meanwhile, is coming with largely vague, aspersions being cast at her opponent, and a huge, colossal war chest of, like, $70 million being spent on her behalf. And, like, to me, that's a pretty terrible argument in her favor. So I'm not exactly sure what is being brought to the table that is giving her an edge in this, other than people have more name recognition and know who she is more than Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. That's really all I can think of, because I haven't heard a single damn policy that anyone would like from Haley Stevens.
Business owners, and they taught me that value of hard work, and that's what motivated me to work on the U.S. Auto Rescue. This is what's always motivated me to tackle tough issues facing Michigan, fight for us and win for us. And boy, do we need someone who wants to fight for us right now, to lower costs, to lessen our dependence on China, and to create more of those good manufacturing jobs so people can live and achieve the American dream right here in Michigan.
People view governors and Congress people as politicians who can deliver, if you will, for citizens as far as resources from Washington. My question, you've been in Congress. Talk about, real quickly, what you've been able to bring back home from Michigan. And as a senator, what more impact could you have?
Well, my elixir for success as a congresswoman for Michigan's 11th district has always been working alongside local elected officials, our mayors, our township supervisors. I've gotten funding into White Lake, Michigan, to revitalize their civic campus, monies to create the Livonia Senior Wellness Center, money in Pontiac for youth recreation, and that MLK bridge. And the reason why this is important is these are your tax dollars. And when I first ran for Congress, I noticed that our district was getting the short end of the stick. We weren't getting our fair share of federal tax dollars. As senator, I want to dial that up and take this elixir of success to all counties, to all government.
The elixir of success. It gives you +5 to your luck stat.
in Michigan, and to all people, because there is such opportunity in Michigan, mid-Michigan, which is growing and ripe for manufacturing.
It boosts your item discovery by approximately 15% for the next hour.
Manufacturing expansion and investment, the incredible agricultural community. We want to get those goods sold. We not only want to tell our story, but we want to make sure that...
Have you seen her old videos that you can tell this shit is fake? Her accent? I have to be completely honest with you. The first thing that I notice when she talks is not her accent. But it doesn't surprise me that it's also an affect.
Those federal tax dollars that our small businesses pay, that our hardworking Michiganders pay, that they work for us. And that's also why, Carol, I feel so strongly about securing those earned benefits like Social Security and Medicare as well.
Right. And
like what I want to hear and what I would believe, right?
Can someone tell me WTF she's talking about?
She's talking about, like, I got money for Michigan, I got money for this project and that bridge, and I know how to work with local government, etc., etc., etc. That's what she's saying. And she's trying to say, I have more experience than Abdul El-Sayed. And that's why people should vote for me. The thing is, I think that this is not necessarily a very compelling point, right? It's just kind of like, remember what I did for you? Time for you to show up for me. And I would, like, she's talking about, we're going to bring back manufacturing. And it's just, well...
How do you feel about El-Sayed calling himself a doctor when he never did his residency?
I mean, he graduated from a school that literally has in its title for doctors and surgeons. And he is a doctor. Or rather, he is a doctor. He has his medical degree. The issue was, can he legally call himself a physician? He graduated from a school that's literally called the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So, like, he's not a physician in, like, the legal sense, but in the colloquial sense of the word, yeah, he'd be considered one. So I don't really feel like that's an issue at all to anyone who gives a shit about this. Number one. And number two, when we're talking about this particular aspect, bringing back manufacturing to Michigan, obviously the thing that's important about that is what kind of manufacturing. When we're talking about this, I want to hear someone in the Democratic Party making a case for green manufacturing. Like, if we want to bring back manufacturing to America, we should be investing in manufacturing things like solar panels, wind turbines. We should be investing in manufacturing car batteries or, grid scale battery technology. Like, these are the things that we could, if we were actually serious about bringing back manufacturing jobs to not just Michigan, but to the entirety of, like, the American Midwest, we should be talking about building that kind of infrastructure because it's in the national interest for us to do so. And whenever I hear, oh, I'm going to bring back manufacturing, like, that's never what someone like Haley Stevens is talking about.
No, there's many issues here. One that's gained a lot of attention, could be a huge opportunity, huge detriment, depending on your point of view, data centers, depending on how you want to say it. Talked to CEO of DTE, Joy Harris, about this. We talked about the costs of these as they're ramping up, being paid by the data center company. However, a lot of consumers...
Why would they when it's cheaper to outsource? Well, one, because this is literally a case for where you might want to situationally apply tariffs, right? I think people forget this, but the reason you would typically use a tariff is not as like a geopolitical pawn, but rather because you want to protect a growing baby industry in your own country, right? So this would be a case where we'd want to have tariffs specifically around manufacturing in the Midwest for, like, whatever green energy component you want to use as an example. And then we'd foster an industry within the United States that is able to then scale up and deliver at lower prices. So this is a case where, like, oh, well, if you were interested in bringing back, having a green energy revolution, you would first have like a set of tariffs to protect that building up that industry, and eventually then you would drop those tariffs because our industry would be able to compete.
Some communities are concerned long-term with costs and things like water. What's your quick view on data centers?
Look, I think we need to have honest conversations with the owners of these data centers about cutting a better deal for Michigan consumers. These bills that continue to go up and up and up, it is not working for us. And in fact, I just had a mom the other day tell me that at the end of the month, she's left with nothing.
What are your thoughts on Dr. Pepper? Great beverage, but also truly the embodiment of lying degeneracy because it didn't actually go to medical school.
I had another friend say they were at the grocery store and the person in front of them broke down because they couldn't pay their grocery bill. So we have got to lower costs, and I have the plan to do that. And that's one, by making sure that these utility companies, if they're raising rates, sorry, you're going to have to lose your federal funds. These data centers, if they're investing here in Michigan, they should be guaranteeing that no one pays more than a certain amount of money for their energy bill, for their water bill. I do a ton of work with the Great Lakes Water Authority. And man, I want to get them the monies, the federal monies, to replace their pipes.
And we're running really short on time here. Real quickly here, you've been endorsed by Jennifer Granholm, Debbie Stabenow.
And this is kind of the play that a candidate like Haley Stevens makes. She drops the names of a bunch of different things that she's worked with or knows about tangentially, and is like, I want to get them the money to do that. Which is a great strategy because it makes her look far more connected to everything that is happening in Michigan. People are like, wait, I know that. Wait, that would maybe help me. Which is a good political tactic. But Abdul El Sayed is talking about even more fundamental issues for folks. Like, hey, people need to be able to go to the hospital. People need to be able to go to the doctor. People need to be able to be paid a living wage. And when we're talking about let's get money for our water treatment, we need that too.
Dana Nessel, Emily's list. You've got a lot of
Brenda Lawrence. Yes,
you got a whole list of people there. You and as your opponents called you, you're the establishment candidate. How do you see that playing out in August, given your candidate, your opponent rather, and your opponent on the progressive side? Real quickly, we got about 10 seconds here.
Look, I've been effective. I've delivered for Michigan. All those people have fought for Michigan and won for Michigan. That's what this moment is about. That is what I've been consistent about on this campaign. Michigan knows me, trusts me, and knows I will work for them in the U.S. Senate.
You got 20 seconds here. You got 20 seconds to tell people why they should vote for you. 20 seconds. I'm going to time it here. Go.
Well, your vote is sacred, so get out and place it, but know that I would be humbled and honored to earn yours, to continue to tell our state's great story in the U.S. Senate, and to make sure that we are heard at every step of the way and that these abuses of power end.
Haley Stevens, thank you so much for joining us. We are certainly going to be paying close attention to this race as it plays out in August into November here. Again, thanks so much for joining us. And we're back with more Michigan Matters right after this.
Sorry, we Michiganders don't know that you will work for us when you keep saying things like Israel comes to me in my dreams. I mean, that's true, right? Do I hear the difference of her talking here?
Today's legislation before you. H.R. 676 would improve the ability of coastal communities to respond to
Holy shit, she does sound very different.
The challenges of acidification by including 2 representatives from Indian tribes. So important to say that. 2 representatives from Indian tribes, tribal organizations, and
fascinating. I am curious about this panel discussion that's about to come up, so we're going to look at a little bit of that just because I want to know what Michigan Matters thought about these answers.
We're We're back with the roundtable's been waiting in the wings, watching closely as we welcome Susie Avery, former chair of the Michigan Republican Party, Marvin Beatty, Detroit champion, community activist and businessman, and making her debut is Lauren Gibbons, senior Capitol writer at the Bridge, Michigan. It's great to have you with us and great to have all of you with us.
It's great to have her here.
Yeah,
Terrific.
Here we go. Well, my, oh my, this, has been quite a week in politics here. Let's start where we started the show from. Let's talk about this U.S. Senate.
Can we just talk real quick? This guy looks so good in that suit. This guy looks so, like, he came dressed to the nines and everyone else kind of slacking a little bit.
Race. We're now down to the two candidates in the August 4th Democratic primary. Lauren, you cover politics. Mallory McMorrow announced she was dropping out. Who does that help between the two with Haley and Abdul?
You know, I've talked to a lot of people about this, getting their opinions, and I don't think we know just yet, although we did see some folks coming out of the wings who had previously been on the sidelines when it was a three-person, now coming out endorsing. I think Emily's List, a very influential Democratic organization, coming in support for Stevens. Attorney General.
God, can we talk about Emily's List for a second? It is wild to me how influential Emily's List still seems to be, despite the fact that, like, I gotta be honest, I have no idea who's behind it, or, like, how they make their decisions, or what an endorsement from Emily's List even means. But I do know that it is influential in Democratic circles. For the life of me, I have no idea why.
Dana Nessel, for example. So we did start seeing some Democrats who hadn't yet made a decision start making a decision. I think we'll continue to see that.
So when it comes to the voters who are going to support her, and just kind of looking at the selection here, you have almost now a battle royale.
Well, I mean, paradox freak, like Abdul El Sayed is a doctor. Like, he has a medical degree. He has a PhD. He is, honest to God, an actual doctor. Now, you can take issue with him calling himself a physician, something that you need a, like, specific license to call yourself. But I also think, given that he graduated from a college for physicians and surgeons, him calling himself that in a colloquial sense on a campaign trail, I find it to be pretty acceptable. He wasn't trying to pass himself off as a practicing physician, which I think is really what is the difference there. But he is, in every sense of the word, an actual doctor.
Between the traditional base of the party and also with the more progressive wing of it here. Marvin, you're obviously you've been supportive of Democratic candidates through the years here. How do you see that race?
Well, look, I mean, I think it's going to be a tight race, but I think it's important that people understand the dynamics of each one of these candidates. And when you look at Mr. Abdul and you ask yourself, what happened in 2024? He stood down throughout most of the campaign until he realized that I better be a Democrat. And voted for Kamala. And the uncommitted people that followed him continued to stay uncommitted. They didn't change their program because he quietly went and voted. So I contend that
If you believe he is a doctor, how would you differentiate between he, who never did a residency, and an actual practicing doctor? Who is more of a doctor in that case?
Well, they're both doctors. But what you're talking about is the distinction between a practicing physician and somebody who is not licensed to be a physician. But he is a doctor. And he is a medical doctor. He's just not licensed to practice as a physician, which is a distinction that is important if you are looking into treating patients. It's not that important if you are calling yourself a physician in a colloquial sense because you are on the campaign trail. That's it. you're really hung up on this semantic point, but like, someone isn't more or less of a doctor. They're both doctors. The difference might be more obvious if we apply it to lawyers, for example. If you pass the bar and like you're a lawyer, but some people are retired lawyers who don't practice law anymore, and other people are practicing lawyers. And there's a distinction there. One practices, the other doesn't. They're both still lawyers. Like, it's not rocket science here. A retired lawyer is not a lawyer. Yeah, and he's not a physician. That's the thing. They're both still certified. They both still pass the bar in the lawyer example, but one is a lawyer because they practice law and the other doesn't practice law anymore. They could both technically call themselves lawyers. And in this similar sense, Abdul El Sayed doesn't practice medicine, so he's not a physician, but he's still a doctor. And like, he could go get a physician, like he could go become licensed as a physician because he has the qualifications to be one, but he's not trying to be one. He's trying to get elected to Senate. That's fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you when you can't wrap your head around the idea of like being a licensed professional versus having all the same qualifications as a licensed professional. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm on the spectrum, and even I'm just like, whoa, bro, that's a little too pedantic even for me. That's crazy.
Probably the biggest concern that I have about this gentleman, because look, you can't be a leader only when you want to be.
Okay. Susie, you are obviously a card-carrying member of the Republican Party here, and we know Mike Rogers in this race is running uncontested.
It's absolutely pedantic. You're arguing over whether or not he's a doctor. He is a doctor. He has a medical degree. He has the thing that's literally called a doctorate that makes you a doctor. You're just butthurt that he's not like the right kind of doctor that you are like trying to argue he should or shouldn't be. That's pedantry on your part.
He's sitting there, and I don't know if he's doing tea and bonbons, but
as far as I'm concerned, he won that debate.
Yeah, he has a PhD and he has both kinds of doctorates.
I always like to talk about, especially what you're talking about.
Wait a minute, why on this show do they have the GOP party or former Michigan GOP party chair? Girl, what are you doing here? Susie Avery? More like Sussy Avery.
Especially
Boom,
what you're talking about, to quote badly Margaret Thatcher, that, the reason I don't like socialists is because eventually they run out of being able to spend other people's money. And so with that in mind...
That's literally the job of the government, is to spend other people's money. That's what taxation is. Like, what... The group that is running up the biggest deficits in American history right now is the GOP. Girl, what are you on?
I think the Democratic Socialists that have taken over so much of
You're talking as if Abdul has won this thing. Haley
No,
Stevens.
I'm not. I'm talking about that part of the party that was able to get the people out to their nominating convention, the early nominating convention, which basically were kids out of Ann Arbor who lined up and paid their $50 to become a Democrat in March. I mean, that's the backstory, but the story is...
Yes, because the former GOP chair in Michigan is really concerned with people being... dinos, Democrats in name only. She's very concerned, you see.
Is that he supposedly has this excitement. Whether or not he has that in August is another story.
Who is the strongest candidate to take on Mike Rogers in the fall campaign between those two?
you know, we've seen a lot of polling that shows Haley Stevens polls better with independents, and independents are usually the deciding factor in these major races. That said, to your point, Susie, there has been a lot of momentum around progressive candidates around the country. I think Abdul El-Sayed is really trying to bank on some of that momentum.
Yeah. How important are debates? There was a Democratic Senate debate this week, and I know, Susie, you have run for office. How important are debates at this stage of the game?
Debates are pretty important, but also midterms traditionally, independents do not come out at midterms traditionally. Independents like general elections, and they especially like presidential elections. They're not really involved in this kind. But this is an interesting time to be in politics, especially for somebody who's covering it. For those of us who are still involved in it, it's very interesting to see how all this new stuff unfolds, because you can talk about the Tea Party and how they took over the right wing of the Republican Party.
Okay, also, can we just point out here, when they're saying, well, Stevens has a better chance of winning, the recent polling indicates that Stevens has a 1.4% lead over Rogers to El-Sayed's 1.1 point lead over Rogers. They're functionally at the same level of electability compared to Rogers.
And now they're libertarians. Well, are the Democratic Socialists going to go on to serve with the Democratic Socialists that there already is a party set up? So it's going to be just, for us, it's fascinating.
They're both within the margin of error for the poll of 3.3%. The difference that exists between them is 0.3%.
Just to see what's going to happen.
And I know that we have a lot more to say, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk a little bit more about this. We're going to talk about...
And yeah, that is the thing. Stevens has the advantage among independents, but the people who are more likely to turn up are the energized younger folks in the Democratic in the Democratic spaces who want Abdul El-Sayed, right? The energy for Sayed is bigger than it is for Stevens, right? So when we're talking about who's polling well or whatever, it's important to look at the demographic breakdown, because I don't think that the younger folks who are excited about Abdul El-Sayed, I don't know that excitement and willingness to turn out extends to Haley Stevens. And I think that's a problem that isn't really accounted for in the polls. It is kind of accounted for by what that guy talked about in the middle, talking about how, the uncommitted movement, they didn't turn out for in the 2024 election. And if you do believe that, then you should also be able to wrap your head around the idea that Abdul El-Sayed has an in with a group of people who are fully capable of not turning out. So when it comes to question of electability, the question is, would Haley Stevens supporters, if Abdul El-Sayed won, turn out for Abdul El-Sayed? And if the answer is yes, then that means that Abdul El-Sayed definitionally has a much larger base of support than Stevens. But, I don't know that they're going to talk about that.
Another major race going on, the gubernatorial. Keep it right here. And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Susie Avery, Marvin Beatty, Lauren Gibbons, and talking about what else
Peyton
but
drinks
politics. Let's move over to another major race going on here, the gubernatorial contest. Wide open here. Let's talk about the Republican.
Okay, we're talking about the governor race? We don't need to know that. That's fine. This is about the Senate race. Also, are the younger folk likely to even answer the polling? Now, Coder Joe, this is a fascinating conundrum for pollsters, because young folks are infamously difficult to poll, because young people don't answer their phones. They don't participate in online surveys, or to the extent that they do participate in online surveys, it's in a disingenuous way that can skew results, right? And so young voters tend to be very underrepresented in polling, even for candidates that they ostensibly really, really like Abdul El-Sayed. So I also think that the argument that uncommitted voters didn't turn out is massively overinflated, but to whatever extent people didn't turn out for Kamala Harris, it's because people weren't excited for Kamala Harris. Particularly younger people weren't excited about Kamala Harris by and large. And so I think we need to reckon with the fact that there is a cost to going with an establishment Democrat when it comes to voter turnout. And Abdul al-Sayed, I believe, has a firm edge if he manages to win the primary. But all this being said, I think we've come to the end of all this, and I do have to say, I did a very good job of adhering to Abdul al-Sayed's commitment to kindness. It was very hard, and I deserve a cookie. All that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about my analysis or the Michigan race as a whole. And also, get involved with your local Dems, get involved with your local DSA. Get involved today, folks. You can do it. I believe in you. Join our Discord. Reach out to Gamergy for help joining your local DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems. We need folks to get involved on the local level because that is where building the movement actually happens. So get involved, folks. The primary is on August 4th.
Michigan. Vote. August 4th. AbdulForSenate.com.
Hell yes. Coder Joe, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. And folks, if you are elsewhere in the country but you want to get involved doing door knocking or phone banking for Abdul al-Sayed, there's a link down below as well for Progressive Victory. Go join up and you can do phone banking, door knocking, text banking, etc. in an effort to get Abdul al-Sayed elected to Senate. We can make it happen, but it needs folks willing to do the work. And if you've got time in the next week and a half, it could mean the difference. This is going to be a very close primary. So, all that being said, you got do all the things, share this around, and check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks, trans men. It is comfy, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. And we just got a new shipment. We got full up on everything, 2 new sizes, a new color. Go check it out. ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the doobly-doo. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.